Welcome to the Rusted Garden. Today I'm going to show you how to build a solar furnace or a solar heater out of aluminum cans. I have a greenhouse. I'm growing cool weather crops, spinach, lettuce, onions in there. And my hope is that this solar heater helps keep the greenhouse going through December and January in my area. I'm in Maryland Zone 7. You know, in a perfect world, I could heat the greenhouse to a temperature of 40, 50, 60 degrees through the winter and things would be great. What I hope is that this solar furnace helps me stay above 32 on a really cold day so my plants don't freeze out. The cool weather vegetables can take some frost, but I want to see if I can warm it up without having to pay for electricity, so I thought a solar heater would be great. Let me go over the parts real quick. You need plexiglass. Don't use glass. If it falls over, glass will break. This is an 18 by 24 inch piece of plexiglass. It's 0.093 millimeters thick and it cost about $15. And again, this is on the smaller scale, but these solar heaters do work. I've seen them online and they are effective and they will bring heat to your greenhouse. You could go bigger if you want to. I think I'm going to end up making 2 smaller solar heaters. You also need some tubing. That's 6 feet of bilge pump hose. That was $6.99. You don't need to spend that much on the hose. If you can find something in your hardware store, you have it that's similar to these, just go ahead and replace it for something that's cheaper. You need flat black spray paint. You need a utility razor. Utility razor was about $5. The spray paint was $3.75. These are elbow pieces of tubing that I got out of the electrical department at Home Depot. You can use any kind of tubing, but one's going to go on the bottom to bring in cool air, and the other one's going to go up top to circulate the warm air back into the greenhouse. You do need some duct tape. That was $3.80. The poly panel is what I'm going to build the solar heater box out of, and it is an insulation panel, and that's what you want. You want to form the box out of something that's going to keep the heat inside the solar heater. And that was 6 panels, cost $7.25. You're also going to need a caulking gun. That was $2. Some liquid nail, some silicone sealant. That was $6 and $2.60. The whole cost for the materials here to build one was $55. If you're going to make a second one, and I'm going to probably make a second one, the cost is about $31. And that's just because, you know, you don't use all that duct tape, all the liquid nails and silicone or the spray paint for one project. You can really make several of them out of the product. And even the poly panels probably will be able to allow me to build a second frame. But to build a second one again, it would be about $31. You're also going to need aluminum cans. This design is going to stack 4 cans on top of each other, and it's going to be I think 5 or 6 columns of aluminum cans. You do need to drill a hole into the top of the can. I'll show you how to do that whole process. And if you have a drill, that's great. If not, borrow one from a neighbor. If you don't have a drill bit that big, you could use a smaller drill bit and just put 2 or 3 holes into the bottom of the cans. I'm going to show you how to assemble this in several steps. The hardest part of this project is preparing the aluminum can. And a couple of things. Wear a rubber glove. Here are 4 cans that I worked on where I made some mistakes. This one wasn't so bad. I just ended up crushing it when I pushed the drill bit in too hard. However, here's one. This was my first one. I was pushing too hard and the drill bit cut through the can, pushed down, and then you can see that it tore the can. If I wasn't wearing a glove, I definitely could have been cut. So wear a rubber glove. To prepare the can, you just pull the tab off, push the flap into the can, and again, I'm using a thick drill bit. I'm only going to put 1 hole in. It will look like this. Some people say to cut out the entire bottom. That creates more airflow. I don't think I'm going to need it in this scale, an 18 by 24 inch solar heater. If it was bigger, maybe I would use it. Now when you do this, you're going to grip the can. Do not put a lot of pressure on the drill bit. You don't want to punch through and then go down too far and either hit the ground or hit the side of the can. Just gently turn it on. Just press just a little bit until you see the drill going in. And as soon as it punches through, let go of the drill. Just like that. And you'll end up with a hole. And again, I'm just going with this size. Some people like to cut out the entire bottom of the can. If you have a smaller drill bit, you could put in 2 holes. Now, to secure the cans, you're going to use silicone, and the best way to do that is to make sure you actually don't put it on the inside here, because that silicone is just going to be wasted. You want to put it on the outer ridge along here. Let me move this out of the way. And you can just line up 3 cans, because mine are only going to be stacked 4 high. You only need to put silicone on 3. But just put a thick bead along the whole bottom of the can. And again, you want it on the outside part of the lip. It doesn't have to be perfect. And you just want to make sure that it seals tightly so that the air moves up the 4 cans. And then all you do is just put this right on top, move it around a little, make sure that it seals nicely, give it a wiggle. And then another wiggle. And when you're done, you can see that the beads are coming around, and that's really all you want to do. Once you have it done, make sure it's mostly straight, just set it aside to dry, and you have your cans. I've constructed the box for the solar heater, the solar furnace. It's a lot of cutting. I'm not going to show you all the parts to it, but I'll explain to you, how you can use it. This is 1 pack of the poly panel, and it was enough to build the 18 by 24 inch frame. So what I think is people are going to use different kinds of glass or plexiglass, so the sizes are going to be a little bit different. But in order to make the box, you just lay down your piece of plexiglass or glass over 2 panels, just trace it out, and then you cut it with the utility knife, and that's your back. And everything that I'm building is a thickness of 2 panels, and that's really to keep the heat in and to give it some strength. Let me show you over here what I've constructed. This is the box for the solar heater, and you can see that it's 2 panels thick, and all I really did was use my glass, and I just used the height of it to make the side panels. It's 2 pieces. I used the bottom to make the bottom sides, obviously, but you can see that you have to cut out about 1 inch on each side, and then you just drop the bottom in. Everything has been Gorilla glued together. This is what it looks like. The duct tape helps secure it while it dries. And here's the back. So the back just has 1 sheet of the poly panel on it, and this is all you have to do to to really build your box, is just put the Gorilla Glue down. You want to be about 1/2 inch or 1 inch from the edge so it doesn't ooze out. Oop, too close to the edge. And this is going to be the second layer of the poly panel. And you can see here's the thin strip, and the thin strip is already right here, so this is going to go over here on this side. And you just lay it down, press it in, put the other piece on, and actually I'm going to run a strip down here. Slide that in. And this is the general design of the box. The next step is going to be to drop the cans in. The most important thing for the measurement is the height right from this edge to this edge is 4 inches. And you want it to be about 4 inches because you're going to build a support for the can. And the can, and what I'm going to do is draw a circle around here. Cut the circle out, and then when I lay the cans in here, they're going to slide into a piece of styrofoam that comes across here, and that's going to secure them in. And I'll show you how to make that next. I'm going to show you how to build the support that these cans slide into. And the support obviously supports the cans while they're in the solar heater, but it also seals out where the cool air comes in, so the cool air doesn't rise into where the air is being heated. The most important, number one, the most important measurement is to make sure that this is 4 inches wide. You want to have enough styrofoam or enough material so that you can cut a hole in it and slide the cans in. And again, this is 4 inches, and the panel depth right here, the side, is also 4 inches. All you do is line up 5 cans, the number of rows that I'm going to have of cans in the solar heater, and make sure when you trace it that you can see the brown line when you look straight down over it. You don't want to get the tip of the pen underneath the lip of the can, then you end up with a hole that it's too small. So you just want to be able to look over from the top of the can, see the brown mark, take the cans off. You can see I had to do it a couple of times just to make sure the marks were right. And all I'm going to do is cut this out, and this is where the cans are going to slide into. And it's going to be messy. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to grip the cans and make a small little compartment in your solar heater. I'm going to line the solar heater with aluminum foil. The poly panel, which is essentially styrofoam, sometimes doesn't take spray paint well. Before I put the aluminum foil down, anywhere that there's a seam, I went and put silicone in it, and that's just to make it airtight. And I don't know if you can see it, but I did all the joints with the silicone, and that will just help keep this airtight. When this heats up and the plexiglass is on here, the only place cool air is going to be coming in is going to be from down here. So the cool air will come in, heat up, and then the heated air is going to go out the top. So you really want the box to be sealed well. So here's the progression. I put the cans in, cut out the styrofoam. I cut circles basically out of this piece of styrofoam. And if you look in here, you can see a lot of silicone really sealing any gaps that were around the cans. And what you're creating here is a manifold or a compartment where it's separated from the upper chamber. And this is where the cool air is going to go in, and you want the cool air to flow in through the bottom of the cans. So when the glass is over this, it's going to be sealed, and the cool air is going to come in right through here into the side, go up inside of the can, and when this can is spray painted black and heated by the sun, the air inside is going to get really warm. And because warm air rises, it's going to rise up through the whole solar heater, and there's another hole right up here and a piece of tubing that will guide that heat to wherever I want it to go. And just real quick, I line the inside with foil. This will all get spray painted black, so will the foil. I put the foil there because spray paint and styrofoam don't usually mix really well together. Back here, I put a styrofoam strip behind the cans just to give them support, and covered that with foil. In some designs, they put another piece of styrofoam in here and create another compartment so that the hot air goes up through these tubes and then fills into the compartment up here. But this is a smaller scale model, and it really just wasn't necessary. This whole area is going to heat up, and the warm air will naturally rise up to this point. So my next step is I'm going to spray paint this. I'm going to get the plastic on it and be nearly done the design for the solar heater. I painted my solar heater with flat black paint, and the reason you want to use flat paint is so that it doesn't reflect the sun. And you can see here's one piece of plexiglass. The plastic hasn't been removed off of it, but I'm going to show you how to put the glass on there. But you can see the reflection from the lights. When I take this away, you're going to see the finished product and you're going to see no reflection. You want to use flat black paint to spray your cans and to spray your solar heater so it does not reflect light. The sunlight will be absorbed into the cans through the flat black paint. First thing is like I told you, is that the styrofoam and black paint's not friendly. So I just taped up the sides with the duct tape so that I'd have a clean surface when I put the silicone gel down and no paint on there. I also taped this up mostly. And all you're gonna do, well, one, spray paint. You can spray paint the cans outside the box if you want and then put them in. It really doesn't matter. But just make sure you spray it on the side so that anywhere the sunlight's coming in, it's gonna hit black paint. I also sprayed the aluminum foil. And then all you're gonna do here is put a thick bead right down the middle. You don't want to leave any gaps because you want this to be sealed so no air is sucked in from the sides where the plexiglass and the styrofoam meet. And it's also going to press out when you put the glass on it. So put a good amount of silicone down the sides of the styrofoam or your box if you're not using styrofoam. And a couple of things is this is only 4 cans high, 5 cans wide, and there is a chance that this is not, well, let me drop this. This may not heat up as much as some of the bigger units. If you have 8 cans high or 12 cans high, the air that's coming in through here is really going to have more time to heat up. But remember, I started this project to create some free heat so that I could send some into my greenhouse just so the temperature stays above freezing. I want to be able to grow greens through the winter here. And this is an experimental box, and you definitely, if you're heating something bigger or you want more warm air coming into a place, you would make these bigger. And I've seen videos for them if you're doing something to heat like a part of your house or something, they use 200, 300 cans in there. This one's only, how many? 20. So just put a good seal down, and I just want to make sure I don't leave any gaps. And if it's messy, don't worry about it. Nothing has to be perfect. And I'm going to do another video that tests, that tests the heat that's coming out of here. And you can see, well, let me get this. And you want to make sure you seal the piece that creates the manifold so air's not pulled up into the upper chamber. That looks pretty good. Before I put that on, I'm going to use tubing, probably cut this in half, and have tubing that's attached right here, piece of duct tape around it. And when you go to a hardware store, look for things that sort of match. This almost fits perfectly. A little bit of duct tape that will be sealed tightly. When I put this in, I just cored a hole out with scissors, put some silicone into the hole, and slid this piece in. Another tip is you don't want this to be pointed up in the air in case it rains. You don't want the water dripping into there. You may not need a tube depending on how you're using. But the tube will go in here. Half of this will go into the bottom of my greenhouse. Why do I want to put it into the greenhouse? Well, I want to pull that air in, which is going to be a little bit warmer, and send it through here. This will be sitting outside the greenhouse. Whoop. And then there's the outlet up there. If I had this sitting outside, it's going to bring in colder air. So I want to just circulate the air that's in the greenhouse. And then up top here, the other half will certainly go right up here, slide on, and that will go into the greenhouse. So the heat, the air in the greenhouse will circulate through the bottom, come up through here, be heated by the sun, and then go back into the greenhouse. And again, this is an experimental model. All right. Whoa, scissors. This is the plexiglass with the plastic sheets removed, and all I'm going to do is line it up, eyeball it, Try and keep the edge straight. Drop it down, square it up, press it down. I want to see the silicone spread and make good contact with the glass and the styrofoam. Let this sit for at least 24 hours. And you can see it ooze over the sides, don't worry about it. This is the basic design for creating a solar heater, and you can make this scale bigger if you want. Obviously you want to make it smaller, but I'm going to do another video that will just show you what the air temperature is outside, what the air temperature is coming out of the top tube. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out my other videos, and also check out my blog at www.therustedgarden.blogspot.com. Thanks.